we're in the full swing of the season here. I got on my only green shirt.
Yeah.
You look like it's 38 degrees in your house as opposed to outside.
Hoodie season all day. Yeah. Oh, I got something in my eye all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're the only person that gets seasonal depression in the summer.
I do. I do. I live for when it gets dark at 4:30. I don't know why. It's just the introverted side of me. But yeah, we're in the Christmas season now. I do have my Christmas themed mug of tea that I'll be sipping on, and I do. You can't. It's just out of frame, but I do have my Christmas tree right next to me, up and lit. So that's nice. Excited. We're this will be our second movie of the month. We kicked off things post Thanksgiving with our reveal, little getting ready for it, talking about all the fun So Many Santas we've had in the past. And we talked about the Grinch, which I just learned about this, so I gotta insert it here. They're Dr. Seuss, the Dr. Seuss company or whatever they're called now, and Wondery, the podcast studio, are launching a Grinch podcast for the Christmas season. And
like a narrative kind of podcast?
No, it's a podcast hosted by the Grinch, where each week a different celebrity will try to convince him to like Christmas.
Oh.
And I listened to a trailer for it because it was an ad in another podcast I listened to. So they got me with a podcast ad. But it was pretty funny, actually. And you could tell that the Grinch is absolutely mirrored after Jim Carrey. Like his manner, or not mannerisms, but voice. His voice is in that. It's not. I wouldn't call it a Jim Carrey impression, but it is a Grinch. It's a Jim Carrey Grinch impression, and it's a pretty good one.
An evocation, if you will.
Yes. So it's
now. Who do they have on?
That I don't know. They didn't mention any of what the guests would be. So I don't know if it's supposed to be a surprise every week.
Like I'm basic. I will accept one person above all else. And that's Conan O'Brien.
Oh my gosh, he has to be on it.
Can you imagine? And Conan then desperately trying to convince Grinch to like Christmas, but then the Grinch turns Conan on Christmas midway through.
Yeah, and then I want the Grinch on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend for an hour.
Yes.
Actually,
a full hour.
I'm not going to list all the celebrities, but I do have the list here, and I'm not going to lie, there's a couple I'm actually interested in. We've got comedian Pete Holmes, who I think is just hysterically
very
weird.
Loud, yeah.
Very loud and weird. Here's one that I think you will find most interesting. Comedian Bobby Moynihan, along with WWE superstar Cody Rhodes.
What?
Yeah.
Why are they together?
They are together convincing the Grinch to love Christmas.
Interesting. I wonder if they've got like a project going on together.
I don't know. And then we also have...
That sounds like we fun. Bobby Moynihan's hilarious, and Cody Rhodes is underrated. Very funny.
And they've also got Bob Odenkirk, who's delightful.
Oh, that's going to be... bring Conan on that one.
The Grinch got some good celebs on his podcast, so they are not a sponsor, but they should be.
No, that does sound like fun.
Yeah,
We should mention our co-host Garrett, not here this week, feeling a little under the weather.
Yes, Garrett is under the weather and had to pull out of this episode, unfortunately. But don't worry, at the end of the show, when we talk about our reviews, he did make sure to send us his review of the movie we're talking about this week, which is Reindeer Games. We'll get to that in a little bit. But you got the David and Josh show today, and it's going to be a good one. I've been watching some Christmas movies outside of the show. Have you been?
I watched the Red-Nosed Reindeer special.
Oh,
the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the classic claymation and Rankin and Bass special.
Yeah.
I watched that, and then I watched David Fincher's The Killer.
Yeah, sure.
so not a Christmas movie, but
was it good though? Is it a recommend? Okay,
I recommend it.
Okay.
I thought that the first half was better than the second half, but I think overall it's a pretty good movie.
Okay, I'll check that
I'll tell you the most hilarious part. Maybe after you see it, I'll wait till you see it. But my favorite takeaway has to do with his aliases that he uses in the movie.
Okay.
So little tease for you.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
But the Rankin and Bass, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
Hold up.
just as interesting as it ever was.
Is that the one with Hermie?
Hermie,
Yeah.
the elf who wants to be a dentist.
Yeah.
Yukon Cornelius, the guy with the big red beard, and he's all about gold and silver, and he throws the thing in the air, and then it hits, lands on the ground, and he goes, nothing.
Yeah.
And so there's that. My son was not into it very much, did not care for Rudolph, Hermie, or Yukon. Favorite character was the Abominable Snowman.
Oh, naturally.
He was all about that thing. He kept asking for, when is that coming back?
He's
Because as
the
you know, my
bad
son is
guy.
all about... He likes monsters. He likes sharks, dinosaurs. He's a bad... He says he doesn't like Scar in The Lion King, and yet that's always the part that he pays the most attention to. So he's kind of my son's kind of a bad guy.
Okay. Interesting.
Or a fan of the bad guy.
I need to watch it for real, but I kind of caught most of Home Alone on FX the other night. A classic. I always watch that every year, but I do want to actually...
We have a review for that up on
We do.
SoManySequels.com.
Please go check that out from a past So Many Santa's year. And then I also watched a movie out of, I don't know, just a whim, scrolling through. We've talked about the idea of doing one of these dime a dozen TV holiday movies someday. Mm-hmm. And one caught my eye on Hulu called Reporting for Christmas.
Reporting for Christmas.
Yes, and it's not like that. It is like local news themed.
Oh, man.
And that's why
Wrong
I caught my
pun.
eye and I thought, I got to talk about this with David. Because you get it, and Garrett would have gotten it too if he was here.
Yeah.
But this movie stars absolutely no one of note. But you do need to look up the poster because the guy in the movie looks like a Dollar Tree Zachary Levi. And in fact, the reason I stopped on the thumbnail was because I thought it was him at first. But listen to this premise. This movie is about a woman who is a TV news reporter. And you see him?
That's his poster. Oh, man. Matt Trudeau.
Yeah.
These sound like fake actor names.
They do.
Tamara Feldman. Matt Trudeau. Maura Kidwell.
It looked like it was filmed by like a college class.
The thing is, that's what they do. They crank these things out in like 10 days sometimes. Danielle Fishel talked about it on the Boy Meets World podcast. She's directed a few Hallmark movies.
Oh, really?
And the film time is like 10 days to 14 days. She said that on her third one, they gave her 20 days, and she was like, why are you giving me so much time? But she ran with it. But anyway.
That's crazy.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about Reporting for Christmas.
No, so the woman in the movie that it centers around is a TV news reporter but she is like, I'm a real reporter. I want to do the real story. I don't want to do fluff pieces. I'm a real investigative journalist. Dang it.
Not on Christmas.
Right. But
That's when the holiday holds happen.
she gets reassigned. to go to Iowa, which is not where they are.
Okay.
But they're sending...
Why would you...
I know. They're sending her to Iowa to cover a toy factory that is bringing back one of its classic holiday toys, the mistletoe.
Okay.
Which is a mistletoe-toad hybrid. And that's the story. And she throws a fit. Okay, but I'm going to find the real story. It's not going to be a fluff piece. And so she goes to Iowa and falls in love with Zachary Levi, Matt Trudeau, naturally, and discovers the true meaning of Christmas.
Right, that it's not all about the hard news. It's about the fluff.
It is about the fluff sometimes, and it's not about that fast city life. Sometimes it's about a small town in Iowa that is just proud of their toy factory, because it's also that kind of small town where she like goes into a little shop and is like, I'm looking for this guy. Do you know who it is? And she goes, honey, we all know everybody here. Something like that.
That's like, well, that's not what I asked, is it?
Right, it's not.
Do you know this guy?
It's not
Where
at
is
all.
he?
It's not at all what she asked. And then she pulls the whole, you go down this street and turn left and keep on going a mile and you can't miss it. It's a factory. And that part is what she said. She reiterated the factory. So that was Reporting for Christmas on Hulu. Don't or do check that out, I guess. I don't know.
It's on Hulu?
You know, I do think if you're the kind of person who does like to go through those fun, mindless, cheesy romance Christmas movies, which is fine, I think I would recommend it for them. I really do. I don't know.
I haven't watched one in so long.
Yeah.
But I am curious. Are you putting it on your best of 2023 list?
Not my best of list. I mean, I'll rank it in my overall list, but it's
there you go.
I'll be fair to it. You know, it's for what it's doing. It's still bad, but it's not like abysmal.
So we haven't talked. We've only talked about this a little bit, but I have started to tweak my rating system a little bit. And I take into account the idea of intent.
Okay.
And I think if a movie succeeds at what it wants to be, but doesn't go above it, it's a 3.
Okay.
So like if you're a Hallmark Christmas movie and your goal is we want to be a cheesy holiday Christmas movie, and you do that, well, you did it. You achieved it. 3 stars.
Yeah.
Now, it's up to you not to sink into 2.5 and bad, and it's up to you to exceed. But so my other example was like a kid's animated film, right? Like if kids enjoy it and it's fun and it's colorful and all that stuff, it's a 3. If it's if it dips into being offensive, then it's bad. And if it goes above that, then it's good. I don't know.
Okay.
Trying to tweak with the system a little bit.
That's fair. Well, that is Reporting for Christmas again. That's the only other Christmas thing I watch, though. So
I'm gonna save the other thing that I watched because I want to talk to Garrett about it.
Yeah.
That's I watched Good Burger too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll wait for that then. I do want to remind everybody real quick before we switch gears to go check out our YouTube channel if you're not there yet. If you're a podcast listener and you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, go do that. We're having a lot of fun over there. We're posting full videos of the episodes as well as clips from the episodes as shorts. So there's a lot of cool ways to engage with our content there. We want you guys to subscribe, comment, like and subscribe, as they used to say. So go do that.
Yeah, we're up to 105 subscribers. We're hoping to get to 112 by the end of the year, 12 days for Christmas. Help us get to that magic number.
I think we can. All right. I think we can do it. Go subscribe.
Just 7 more. If you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, just go subscribe.
Exactly. That is So Many Sequels on YouTube. You can go to SoManySequels.com and find a link to it. But let's be real. You're just going to open your YouTube app because who goes to websites? We go to apps.
Open it in the browser.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about Reindeer Games.
Yes.
This is a pretty noted flop. Why don't we start by talking about that? Let's get into the box office history of Reindeer Games. This is this the first movie that Ben Affleck did after Good Will Hunting?
That's a good question. I don't know that for certain.
I think I had read somewhere that it was his first real big flop after the Good Will Hunting bonanza.
Now, maybe his first flop after Good Will Hunting. I'm not sure if it's his first full film.
It's probably not.
But it was a flop. And there's multiple reasons for that. One is the content, which we'll get into later. But second is that this movie debuted on February 25th of the year 2000, which was a 2.5-ish month delay from when they wanted to release it, which was in December of 1999, because the test screenings were really poor. And so they did a little bit of re-editing, a little bit of reshooting in some places, I think, and then released it 3 months later in February. So it's a movie that clearly has a lot of allusions to Christmas in February. Now, that's not uncommon. You get summer movies in the winter time, and you get some Christmas movies that come out. Or how many times have we talked about a Halloween movie that came out in May? So it happens. So it debuted the weekend of February 25th, 2000, to the number 3 spot. So did not necessarily rule its weekend. It made $8.1 million opening weekend. Its total budget was $42 million, and it would not make back that budget. It would go on to make $23 million in the United States and $8 million overseas for a worldwide total of $32 million. Now, I just want to... This is a fun little detail about the weekend Ben Affleck and Frank Oppenheimer, or not Oppenheimer, John Frankenheimer opened this movie. The number one movie that weekend was The Whole Nine Yards, starring Bruce Willis and Matthew Perry, the late Matthew Perry, in its second week. The number two movie was, Josh, I have a feeling you'll remember this, Snow Day. Do you remember Snow Day?
Snow Day. Yeah.
I love how in the mid-2000s, late 90s, they would make movies that were clearly just made to be on Nickelodeon and Disney Channel, but put them in theaters anyway.
Yeah.
Like Snow Day was that type of movie.
Yeah.
Just made to be like, this weekend on Nickelodeon, it's Snow Day. And they'd have all the music. I think Josh Peck is in that.
He is. I have it up here, yeah. So is Chevy
the
Chase.
Chevy Chase. And at number three, you have Hanging Up, which is a movie directed by shoot, forgot her name. Well, anyway, it's got Meg Ryan in it.
Okay.
She's not the director. The director is someone else who I'll remember here in just a moment. But my favorite part about it is that it's also starring Lisa Kudrow. So Ben Affleck finished right between two Friends cast members.
Between Phoebe and Chandler.
Right between Phoebe and Chandler.
Love it.
It was starring and directing Diane Keaton. That was the name I was looking for. Starring and directed by Diane Keaton, Meg Ryan, and Hanging Up. It also was critically not liked and a bit of a bomb. And then in the number 5 spot was Pitch Black. That is the original Chronicles of
Riddick. Yeah.
Riddick. Yeah. It's the original Riddick movie. Yeah. All right. I almost said Chronicles of Narnia, and then I almost said anyway. So that's your top 5 that weekend: Pitch Black, Hanging Up, Reindeer Games, Snow Day, and The Whole Nine Yards. Like I said, it did not go on to do much better. It immediately fell out of the top 5 in its next weekend, and already was making less than $1 million after 4 weeks. So it was a bit of a tank in that regard. I'm not going to go through the whole year 2000 like I normally do, because we've been in the year 2000 like 3 times in 5 weeks. We just talked about The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. We just talked about Meet the Parents, which also came out that year. The number 1 movie that year in the United States was The Grinch. So, interesting year. Now I'm excited. Box office is behind us to talk to you about my pick,
Reindeer Games. Yes. So Reindeer Games came out in the year 2000, directed by John Frankenheimer. After assuming his dead cellmate's identity to get with his girlfriend, an ex-con finds himself the reluctant participant in a casino heist. This movie stars, I'm not going to list everybody, but a lot of big names. Or at least who will be big names. Ben Affleck, Charlize Theron, Gary Sinise, Danny Trejo. That's all I'm going to say, because there's a couple I want to say.
Isaac Hayes.
Yeah, Isaac Hayes is a good one. Right? Yeah.
Isaac Hayes, she was chef at the time.
Yeah, on South Park. So why don't you tell us why you made us watch this movie?
Well, I gotta say, I have no idea. I was looking for a movie that we hadn't done, and that I was hoping to find a movie that we hadn't even talked about before. And I was just looking at, I just Googled unconventional Christmas movies. And I saw listed Reindeer Games. And I thought, I'd never even heard of Reindeer Games. I watched the trailer. It was the trailer already sold me that it was going to be an abysmal movie. And so, but I was just looking at it just going, oh, this looks like it would be so fun to watch. It looks like it'd be so fun to watch and review. And I know that traditionally I have the most militant Christmas rules. We've talked about it. We have a whole episode. And in fact, I have my rules right here. We're going to talk about it later. But there was just something about it that was so appealing because, we've watched a lot of classics. We've watched a lot of good Christmas movies. There was something about watching a movie that was so clearly draped in Christmas that is not a Christmas movie. And I just wanted to give it a... And I know the Die Hard is out there and people like to point to Die Hard, but let's point to one that's a failure at that same idea,
Okay. Fair enough.
that was kind of where I was, and I just wanted to laugh. The trailer made me cringe so much that I was like, I have to share this with the world.
Yeah, it was something. So let me I guess share my initial thoughts. To go off that, I hadn't seen this before. I didn't have high hopes. My expectations were met in that sense, I guess, because it certainly didn't exceed them. This movie was just extremely stupid. But most of the time, not enough to come back around to being funny. There are moments where it is, and I have a couple noted when we get to the scene discussion that I want to mention. So there are some moments where I laugh, but I don't think I was supposed to. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I don't think this was supposed to be as funny as it sometimes is. I don't know what to say about most of the cast. Ben Affleck is like the worst acting I've ever seen him do.
It's up there.
and he's someone who I will like generally defend as an actor. Like I think sometimes he's a little overhated. I get why he is disliked a lot of times, but I think he can be a pretty decent actor sometimes, and this was not it at all. It's
no, I think it's because he had to overcome stuff like this.
Right. Well, I mean, this is still after, he's done Good Will Hunting and some other movies where I know the man's got talent, but not under this direction.
I think for a lot of times early on, there was a lot of debate over whether or not Ben Affleck was good because of Matt Damon in the early days.
You're right. Yeah, that's true.
And that was what Ben always had to overcome is Ben as good without Damon?
Yeah.
And I think he has overcome that. He's actually proven to be a very good actor and director himself.
They're not tied together that way anymore.
But early on, it was Gigli, it was I can't even remember all the other ones that didn't necessarily go well. But anyway, sorry, go on.
No, that was pretty much it for my initial thoughts. It's just not good. And I think it would have been funny to watch it as a group because there's so much to make fun of and like call out. Mm-hmm. So I'm like talking. I feel like I'm going to talk about this movie joyfully, even though I would not recommend it to almost anyone.
Exactly. No.
So let's talk about. Let's just get with the first question out of the way. Is it a Christmas movie or is it just Christmas themed? Now, I would say it's not a Christmas movie. It's definitely more of a nightmare. And I say this because, and this is one of the rules that I don't remember if I had it at the time, but I've kind of come to have it, is I think if you change, sorry. That was my timer to wrap up my my initial thoughts, which I did.
There you go.
Now the world knows.
We just need a timer. You just need a psychic timer.
I know. Yeah.
Turn off.
Now I lost my train of thought with it. What was I saying?
What was your new Christmas rule?
The Christmas rule. I think if you change the time frame and nothing else is affected, I'm not sure it's a Christmas movie. Like if Christmas is an integral, and this movie is like. It's hard to really pin it down. It's a casino heist movie, but it didn't have to happen throughout Christmas time. So, I mean, I enjoy that it is during Christmas time because there are a lot of fun elements at play with that. I mean, Gary Sinise's literally not yelling, but calling out we're not going to play any reindeer games.
It's like, what? It's so stupid.
So
why would you even say that, though?
Exactly. Why would you say that? So I say no. What do you say?
I totally agree. I think it is Christmas themed, clearly, because it has so many trappings. It has the Santa suits. They rob a casino in Santa suits. It is loaded with Christmas songs. Like every other song that plays in this movie, and there's probably like 30, is a Christmas song, right?
Yeah.
It has references, people just saying things like, I'm not going to play any reindeer games, sure, right? But there's also just like, I want to see you in a candy cane, and all these like just some of the most cringy dialogue you've ever heard, and all of it is just shoehorning in. Remember, it's Christmas every time. There's the we'll get into the twist later, but there's the key use of silver bells, you know, the whistling of silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city, but it's not a Christmas movie. And Josh, you guys have talked about my militant Christmas rules. And I have to say that to date, this is the first movie to break every Christmas rule that I have laid out.
That's a beautiful.
Save for one, okay? Now, this movie has murder, which is not allowed in a Christmas movie for me. It has aggressive language, a lot of cursing. There's quite a few F-bombs and other such things. It has nudity, which I didn't even know before we watched the movie.
It was a surprise. It was especially graphic, I must say.
It was
also set to a Christmas song.
It was. And then it has substance abuse for the sake of comedy, which substance abuse is like, you know, can be used for dramatic effect, but when you're using it to like it's just tasteless to me in that scenario, in a Christmas movie setting. And then finally, yes, the other genre overpowers anything that has to do with Christmas, and the other setting is just a crime heist movie, right? The only rule it didn't break is that there's no appearance by Hulk Hogan. That's my only rule that it didn't break. If Hulk Hogan had appeared in this movie, this would have been the perfect anti-Christmas movie, not Christmas movie.
He would have fit so perfectly.
He would have.
He absolutely
He just had to be in the
would've.
casino.
Yeah.
But Josh, I'm almost willing to give it the pass though, for a different reason. And we'll get to it in a minute because we have a few other things I want to talk about. But I do have a key scene, and I might substitute Hulk Hogan for a different actor here later.
Okay, I think
the first thing we have to get out the way is this has got to be the dumbest group of criminals that have ever tried to commit a heist. These guys, 3 times in a row, decide that he is not the guy. Oh wait, he is the guy.
Right.
Because he just tells them, "Look, I'm not the guy you're looking for," and they go, "You're not the guy we're looking for," and they beat him up and they go, "Listen, you are the guy we're looking for," and then they go with it, and then he tells them again, "I'm not the guy you're looking for," and they go, "He's not the guy, kill him." And then he goes, and then Ben Affleck goes, "Okay, I'm the guy," and he goes, "We knew you were the guy." Like, are they supposed to sound this stupid? Because it's not like Ben Affleck is like playing them. It's like he's stupid too.
Yeah.
Like, there's no smart people in this film other than maybe Charlize Theron's character, who also seems like kind of an idiot.
Yeah, well, you know, some of that, as we find out, is intentional. But yeah, they are truly so stupid. But to be honest, well, I guess it is fair to say they are all the dumbest criminals because they're all criminals in some way, shape, or form. I was going to say, even our protagonists are extremely stupid.
It's so dumb.
This is like, I really see it as 2 movies in one, because to me there's this angle of Ben Affleck's character or identity stealing that is its own thing, and then it turns into a heist movie where things get changed again. But at every point I was like, how is everyone in this movie so dumb as to believe what people are trying to pull on them?
Right.
How are we all this dumb in this movie?
It's like they thought that by making I can't tell if they're supposed to be stupid,
right?
Or because like they're menacing, right? But like, are they supposed to be this stupid? Because that's how they come across. They just choose to believe that this guy is this Nick person, even though he's told them 3 times he's not. And then they have like no idea what they're doing when it comes to this heist. They do lay out that this is their first time ever trying to steal something. So like they're stupid, and then obviously they try to rob a casino. We know how that goes. Watch Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Getting the money is the easy part. Getting out the door, that's where it gets difficult.
Yep.
But they are robbing a casino in the middle of freaking snowbound Pennsylvania or wherever it is they are. So, I don't know. But I do got to say, Danny Trejo did crack me up when he was talking about there should be a Christmas 2 in May or June. Do you remember this? He was like, "Seems to me a smart country would create a second gift-giving holiday."
Yeah.
He said something like 50% of all spending in the United States happens in the month of December.
Yeah, I believe.
I don't know if that was true or not.
You know what? I would believe it if it was, but it's probably not. Or at least maybe it was at the time. I don't know. Yeah, they are really stupid, but they're also all really evil. They're evilly stupid.
Yeah,
and that's where I have to talk about how much I feel like it is understated that Ben Affleck's character, just like for no real reason, decides he's going to assume his dead friend's identity after he's killed in a prison riot with one of the corniest yells I've heard since the Vader "No" in Revenge of the Sith when he goes Nick is terrible. But anyway, his friend Nick dies in a prison riot, and he decides, because he's been openly joking about it with him, that he wants to get with his girlfriend. So he gets released from prison, says he's Nick, fools his girlfriend, Charlize Theron, and that is just like how we're dealing with this for a while. This is just the ride we're on for now.
The drama of that could have been the movie itself.
It could have been, and I wish it had been.
The drama of assuming your dead friend's identity to steal his girlfriend, essentially. That could have been. I mean, there's a lot of drama there. It may be kind of a Christmas-themed rom-com in that scenario, but then it just goes haywire when Gary Sinise, in full crazy Lieutenant Dan mode, shows up, and he's just uncontrollable. And the whole thing is too that as you go through the movie, we're going to talk about the twist here later, but the whole movie depends on him getting off that bus to impersonate Nick.
Yep.
It hangs on it.
Yep.
And it's like, how could they have accounted for that? Anyhow.
Yeah, that is true. When the whole shindig is unveiled at the end, there is a whole lot of luck involved in the plan.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to something you talked about with the corniness of the jail scene.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe. As I was watching it, I had to remind myself that this is like a rated R movie because it's so corny. It's like the narration. You messaged me. This Ben Affleck narration is corny as hell.
Yeah, he opens with like,
it is.
I'm a tough guy in prison.
I never really cared much for the holidays.
It was literally like Prison Mike doing an opening.
I mean, it did. It was so. It sounded like someone who's never been to prison, and Ben hasn't. But it just sounded like, even from a writing perspective, it was just so. Things are tough on the inside. Guys always looking for the next meal. Who they gonna shiv? Like, it was just so freaking corny, and the movie continues in that respect. Like, his relationship with Charlize Theron, I know obviously there's subterfuge going on between both of them, but they're so awkward together in like a weird way. Yeah, it's just
and
Ginson Sinise, he's corny too. It's the whole thing.
It's like, I don't know. It's too corny, and the narration, I busted up laughing immediately, and it continued for too long. But also, it hits one of my least favorite things that bad movies do, which is introduce narration and never bring it back. Just open.
They wait until the very end to bring it back.
Yeah, but
I hate that.
I don't like. To me, there's a laziness involved with opening and closing your movie with narration, just because it feels like a crutch.
Yeah. It feels like
if it's not part of the narrative, I'm not interested.
It's almost in some ways like it illustrates that we don't think the audience is quick enough to catch what we're doing.
And perhaps
if you're not quick
enough, watching Reindeer Games, you're not.
If you're enjoying it.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, the whole prison sequence is like the first, 15 minutes of the movie maybe, and it's so dumb. They're like getting served Jello, and they're like, "What's in the Jello?" And he's like, "Well, you go eat it." And then the guy starts, "There's a bug in the Jello," and they all start freaking out about bugs in the Jello. Oh gosh,
jail can't be that fun.
Let's So we've talked about the opening monologue. We talked about the prison scenes. Those are all bad.
Yeah.
So as the movie progresses, Charlize Theron's brother, which, gosh, it's so hard to even talk about the movie because of what all the twists are. Charlize Theron's brother, Gary Sinise, forces Ben Affleck to commit a heist at the casino where his dead friend Nick used to work. they have Ben go in to do reconnaissance. They dress him as a cowboy. That's all fine. Josh, I did a literal, I've never done this in my life, a literal, actual, I was drinking water spit take when Ashton Kutcher randomly appears with no forethought for me that Ashton Kutcher would even be in this movie. He just turned around and I went, Ashton Kutcher?
Uh-huh. With the world's most unexpected goatee.
What was that? They were like, Ashton, can you please grow a goatee for us, because Ben is going to have a fake goatee at this point in the movie. So like, I almost want to like swap out Hulk Hogan for Ashton Kutcher as my rule breaker for this particular movie.
Yeah. Well, because what's insane to me about so that is, I mean, Reindeer Games came out the same year as Dude, Where's My Car? So this is a very dumb type of Ashton caricature that the world knows, and he just pops into this movie. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and there's and that 70s show was running at this point.
Right. Which he played he played a dumb character in that too. It took him a long time to not just be considered the dumb guy, I think.
Yeah. Now he's circled around to being the something else.
Yeah, he's something else.
Now he's circled around to be
something else. Still not good.
Controversy just yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so funny to me. Unintentional, hilarious laughter of like, I just was not expecting Ashton Kutcher to just appear in such a tiny role, because frankly at that time in his career he could have been like a part in this movie. He could have been one of the bad guys. Something else I find hilarious is that Donald Logue, who plays one of the bad guys, they're all nameless goons, but Donald Logue was almost Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel apparently had a huge argument with the director, and he was like, get this guy out of here.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and I had something that blew my mind about that I put in the notes I wanted to talk about. So yeah, Vin Diesel was originally cast in that role, and they had that disagreement. So the word is Vin Diesel dropped out and did the Fast and the Furious instead. And so the implications of Reindeer Games to me are seismic, because there could be no The Fast and Furious, or at least not as we know it, without this movie casting Vin Diesel and then him dropping out. So we thank you for your service, Reindeer Games.
It could have been a one and done, The Fast and the Furious. You know,
it could have been. Who knows?
Could have been one and done.
I don't know who would have been cast instead of Vin Diesel, but would it have been as, I don't know, would it have been as big? Hard to say.
Oh, maybe they would have cast The Rock back then. You know? Can you imagine if The Rock had been Dom Toretto the whole time?
Does that mean that then The Rock ends up being the voice of Groot somehow later on down the line?
Oh, well, of course.
Does that mean that Vin Diesel ends up being in Moana? Oh. I can't. Okay, no, we can't go down that rabbit hole. But
what can I say except you're welcome?
He does have a musician career, so
he does.
He does.
I think the time has come. We must talk about the twist upon twists.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, where we can get into Garrett's review as well.
Yeah.
Because Garrett talks a lot about the twists. Mm-hmm. Let's get into the first twist.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
First twist, I guess, technically is, psych, I'm the brother. I'm Gary. I'm her brother, and now you're going to rob this casino. Now, I kind of knew that by watching the trailer. But you know.
We find out along the way that Charlize Theron's character was never interested in Nick, really. Mm-hmm. She was Gary Sinise's lover the whole time, not his sister. They did the old sibling switcheroo.
Yes. Which is still weird that they continue to call each other brother and sis as they start to have sex in the pool.
That's something they should talk about with their therapist, I would say.
It was weird. But yeah, so that's your twist one. And honestly, that one was kind of, I saw that one kind of coming.
Yeah, and it was also, I thought it was fun enough. I was like, okay, that's not like it's fun.
You know, like, okay, that makes sense.
It's interesting.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
But then
the second twist.
Okay, so the heist happens.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody dies. Everybody on Team Heist, Team Dumb Heist dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ocean's -11. They all die. And it's just Sinise, Theron, and Affleck. And they're going to put Ben in the car and light it on fire and push him over a hill. But then Charlize slips up. She says, Nick took a shiv for you and you swipe his girl the next day? And Ben goes, how did you know about the shiv? I never said anything about the shiv. And now, even Gary Sinise is starting to go, yeah, how did you know about that, right? And so Charlize says, something, boom, shoots Gary Sinise. What? And then she shoots him in the head again, and Ben Affleck has the dumbest look on his face the entire time, just. And for the audio listeners, I made a stupid face. And then she says the line, you should know, Rudy, because that's Ben Affleck's real name in this movie is Rudy. I'm just going to bleep it. I never F the wrong guy. Then you hear the familiar whistle. It's silver bells, and Charlize joins in on the whistling, and the look on Ben Affleck's face is as he just watched the end of The Sixth Sense. He turns around to see Nick is alive the whole time, and he's a Kaiser Soze-esque criminal mastermind.
Yes, batshit.
And then as though they knew everybody was gonna have a billion questions, him and Charlize Theron spend 4 minutes describing every element of their plan and how it went and how it worked.
Well, you're not a good villain if you don't monologue your plan.
No. Well, and it cost them. When you start monologuing, that's when you get got.
Exactly. I did it again.
Timer. Time. But it was they thought they were so smart. They thought it was so smart, but it was. And I have to say, I had to ask myself, am I stupid, or was I just so uninterested that blew me? Because it did. When I heard Silver Bells and him start whistling, I went, no.
It got me too, because I will give them credit that they made you think the twist already happened. You know, you're already like, it was already a big twist. I don't think there'll be another one. You don't expect a second one, and you certainly don't expect something like that, because to then reconnect what we said earlier, for that plan to work, you had to hope that Ben Affleck would just do that, because they don't manipulate him into it really in any way. No. It was his idea initially. He's the one talking about it to Nick all the time. So you just had to hope that he would take your identity and steal your girl after you faked your death. And that seems like a big risk to me.
Or some variation of it. Yeah. You know, like there was so many things had to go right because they had already. Because the other element is they talk about, like, Charlize Theron already went and started sweet talking Gary Sinise's character, convinced him to do this crazy plan where for 6 months she was going to write Nick in jail and all this stuff and pretend to be his girlfriend, and then they were gonna, and so then while on the inside he was going to make Rudy essentially fall in love with Charlize enough that he might do this. And like, what was the plan? I mean, I guess the plan was like, okay, if he doesn't get off the bus, just trick Gary Sinise and his buddies into doing this, right? I don't know, but it ends in the best way, which is that Ben Affleck manages to kill both of them, and then he takes a big sack of heist money, and as dressed in his Santa Claus, hands out money on Christmas Day, and finally gets back home for Christmas, and then we get the cheesiest look on his face as he's like, I never really cared much for the holidays until now. And it's like, until now? Really?
Yeah, after that?
Why eating pecan pie? Which they keep saying pecan pie, which would drive my grandparents nuts for sure. Yeah. Let's you want to read Garrett's review?
Yeah.
I think Garrett's review sums it up.
I wanted to wrap up with Garrett's review here. And he also left us a letterbox score and a rating, and we'll have those too for later. With such an A-list cast, I thought it could be at least entertaining, but I was very wrong. I feel confident saying this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and it's definitely the worst movie I've seen Ben in. I thought it had potential after the first twist, where Ben pretended to be someone else. Then so he considered that the first twist.
Oh, yeah.
Then the other twist with Charlize, I was like, don't love it, but it's okay. Finally, that last twist where the other guy showed up at the end, no. Dumb. Hated it. Made the whole movie feel even lazier than it already felt. I remember thinking, who the hell is this movie for? And is it supposed to be entertaining or coherent or logical? And I would say that's pretty good. Yeah, I'd agree with most of that.
Josh, I don't want to leave out that you also wanted to point out the homemade squirt gun flamethrower.
Okay,
you put
yeah.
that you put that on here.
Yeah, that just cracked me up in a real like MacGruber way, not MacGyver, specifically MacGruber.
MacGruber.
He takes a bottle of alcohol and pours it into a pistol-sized squirt gun, and then blows up a man who just lit a cigarette. It was insane.
Yeah, it was again a case of sheer luck that someone would do that,
and also just like. Why do you think of that? Who are you?
Yeah. What was the plan? And I do love your point about Gary Sinise slapping a hand-drawn map of the casino on the table, and it's just all scribbles like a child.
It reminded me of Kevin's battle plan from Home Alone, where it's like, it's my house, and I'm gonna protect it. That's what it looked like. I got the map here, and it looked like shit. I can't. Okay, this movie, no. No,
okay.
We're done with that.
Okay. I want to talk about just a few other things.
Yeah.
I'll make them quick.
Yeah.
It is a sad state of affairs. John Frankenheimer, and I'm sad to say I haven't consumed a lot of his stuff. This is the only movie of his I've seen. But he was an acclaimed director of film and TV. He's credited with basically creating the blueprint for the modern political thriller. He is behind films like Birdman of Alcatraz, The Manchurian Candidate. Like he had and tons of big TV films, right? And fortunately, this wasn't his last work that he ever made. It was his last theatrical film, and so for it to go out as a critical and commercial failure is kind of sad. He did make a TV film. I think I looked up as something to do with the Nixon years or something like that, and it was well received. So at least his final project before he passed away, I believe in 2002, had some critical art, success. But I think it is really interesting. This has incidentally introduced me to an acclaimed director that I don't think gets a lot of shine. I haven't heard many people talk about. So I might try in the future to look into some of his work.
Well, there you go. That is one silver lining of Reindeer Games.
Yes. I will say it is obvious that he has a favorite thing, which is mega close-ups on someone with someone in the background talking. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you noticed like how many times it'd be like Gary Sinise would be talking and it would be like Danny Trejo's face right here with Gary Sinise be like, "Why are you doing that?
Yeah, I did.
You can't be doing that, convict." And it'd be like Danny Trejo's taking up the whole left third of the screen. He was big into close-ups, it appears. I don't know if that's like a way of hiding something or if it's just a personal touch, but it was very noticeable.
I don't know. All right, let's move into our Letterboxd game then. I've got some reviews here, some of the most popular reviews from Letterboxd to talk about.
These are going to be great.
Some of them could be. We've got the top review is from Steve Sandberg, who gave it 3 stars and says, top 5 reasons to watch Reindeer Games. 5. One of the dumbest, most convoluted twist endings imaginable. Isaac Hayes' most inexplicable film role, it's baffling. 3. Charlize Theron. 2. I want some fucking hot chocolate and some pecan fucking pie. And number 1, Dennis Farina's inexplicable false teeth. A truly breathtaking mess of a motion picture. Then we got fuck you 3.5. Fuck you guys, it's fun. The Letterboxd game alone might break our F-bomb record for this show. 1 star. The plot was batshit and the twists were also shit, and a lot of the acting was anyone want to guess. And then finally, 1 star. Insanely stupid movie, but the third act goes very hard. So you know.
I don't know for a fact. This could be one of the worst movies we've ever done for so many sequels in terms of what its Letterboxd score could be.
It's possible. Garrett gave us his guess first, and he's going with a 2.2.
2.2. So what's your guess then?
My guess, I think, is gonna. So I want to say that I hope that you guys are right, and it's low. I can't quite get myself to think it'll go into the 1 territory though, so I'm gonna.
That's very low.
It's very low, so I'm gonna actually maybe give it a 2.4.
2.4
from Letterboxd, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean, It's hard to imagine that below 2 range on Letterboxd is something else.
It's steep. It's hard to get there.
The lowest movie we've ever done, the lowest Letterboxd movie we've ever done on So Many Sequels is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Yeah.
Which I think is like a 1.4 on Letterboxd. I think this is probably better than that. I think you guys are in the right zone, though, so I'm going to say 2.3. I'm just going to go right between you guys and just hope that I can get a direct hit.
Okay, we got 2.2 from Garrett, 2.4 from me, and 2.3 from David. Let's see what the Letterboxd community does actually think about Letterboxd, or about Reindeer Games. And so, based on 12,000 ratings, we were unfortunately all quite off. But I was the closest because this movie's a 2.7 somehow.
2.7?
2.7 from Letterboxd. I'm shocked.
People rate... So, I'm just going to reveal this, because I know this for a fact. People rate this higher than Thor: The Dark World? Like, Thor: The Dark World's bad, but...
That's hard to... Yeah, I don't think I could go there either. That's
hard to be.
That's rough. This is pretty high for me. I don't think... It's not going to be that high for me. I know that.
So, that means that's not even our lowest film of this year that we reviewed.
Right. Upsetting. Very.
So Josh wins on Reindeer Games, which I do love the title, I gotta say.
Great title.
As far as a Christmas movie that, like, you're looking for a title for a Christmas movie and you're like, oh, what can we do? Okay. Reindeer Games, that's what they talk about in Rudolph. So,
Yeah.
Josh, that brings you up to 10 wins, 14 points, meaning you are 2 points behind me.
I just know.
But Garrett's behind only 5.
Oh, wow.
And there's only 1 week to go.
Oh my gosh, that means...
Well, actually, there's 2, because there's the audience pick if we end up...
I was going to say that means the best I can do is tie you, and we don't have a plan in place for that.
Yeah, we need to think that through.
Okay, well, Garrett said... Garrett's rating for this movie is a half star.
Wow, that's bad.
I'm going to be just so slightly more generous and give it 1 full star. Because that is bad in my list, or in my key, and I think it is bad. But I don't think it's think it's half, because I do laugh a couple times.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to give that extra half star. I'm going to give it 1.5 stars.
1.5 stars. Okay, so
yeah, because it's bad, but I did actually get a lot of entertainment out of watching.
Maybe even collectively
in
some of our lowest then as well.
I think so, because that's a
half star is rare for any of the 3 of us.
It is.
Wow. Okay. Well,
I love that I did this to us.
Yeah, I do too. It was worth it.
So you gave it a 1?
I gave it a 1.
So that makes us an average of 1.
Oh, wow. Perfect. Well, how do you like that then? All right. That's Reindeer Games. We'll be back next week with, I promise, a much more Christmassy movie.
Yes, definitely.
So be sure to follow us online at somanysequels.com. You can find links to our social channels there. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. You can also find our whole back catalog of episodes there. You can search, go through our past So Many Santas if you want to stick with the Christmas theme this month, or watch any other old episodes that you want. Please also, again, want to remind you to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe to that. So Many Sequels on YouTube. And then finally, we also have Patreon, patreon.com/so-many-sequels. If you join us on there, you'll get access to our Discord, and we'll talk about movies and all kinds of fun stuff there. Before we finally leave, I do want to remind everybody that we will be asking for your vote on the final Christmas movie of the year. We're going to put out some poll options on our social channels, so again, check those out at so-many-sequels.com. We're going to have the fans vote for our final Christmas movie of the year, that we will release that week of Christmas. So be sure to follow our socials for that. We will announce that once the votes are tallied. So we'll see you all next time